Hello, welcome to the Interpersonal Forum. I'm back after a little while. Today, we want to talk about how do we handle our conversations, our advice, to our kids. The interaction between the parents and kids in terms of what is wrong, what is right, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. This is especially very important and becomes a point of contention sometimes when your kids, grow up and they become teenagers, and that's with the time when they try to be rebellious, and they don't think their parents know as much, and they don't want to listen to their parents. Whatever the parents say, they want to go contrary to it for the most part. So this is a time when you can have some conflict, between the parents and the kids. So I mean, it's really important that we allow our kids, to have their own voice and their own independence, and have their own thought process, their own opinions on things, and that should be a discussion that any parent should have with their kids. And this way, what that does is, it builds their confidence, that you trust them, that they can make decisions, and you can trust their decisions, and they can trust themselves too. That being said, then if you take it a little bit too far in that direction, sometimes some of the kids may take advantage of that and run away with it, and start challenging you on every decision that you make. It's very common for young people, especially teenagers, whatever their parents say, they'll say no to it. And for example, myself and my kids, when I told them that I think it's very important for them to take Spanish as a second language in school, because of the prevalence of Spanish speaking people in the area that we live in fact in America, overall. The first thing they do is no, 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 no. I don't want to take Spanish. I don't want to take Spanish. I don't know where that is coming from. It's just because their father wants them to take Spanish, and they think they should not take Spanish. And in fact, so they decide that, but I cannot force them to take Spanish. If But I'm hoping that they will see the importance of it themselves, and do it. So it's really important that for the parent to establish the fact that they are the adult in the house, and they have a life experience that they have learned a lot of things from, and so their kids should definitely take advantage of that and listen to their parents, and not necessarily that the parent knows everything or the parent is always right, but for the most part the parent is right because of the life experience they've had, and the kid hasn't had that life experience, even though it might be a different generation, a different set of circumstances and stuff like that, but in general it's the same. We were kids ourselves at one point, and so being a kid is being a kid. So discuss with your kids, and have some back and forths. But sometimes, I think it's really important for the parent to take a stand and say, this is the way it's going to be, at least until otherwise, something else, comes that will override that decision. Um, uh, you know, and for the most part, I think in later on in life, these kids, come to realize, and that their parents, are there for them, and remind them that whatever you're doing or saying, telling them to do, it's in their best interest. Doing it for your own interest, but for their best interest, the kids' best interest, your kids' best interest. So that's really, really important. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about, and like, subscribe, comment. Again, if you have topics you want to talk about, let's bring them on. Send me messages, and we'll talk about it. and we'll discuss it further. Thank you so much. Bye bye.